My daughter's a Gen Zer. She's 14. I think it goes up to about 28.
Is that it?
My guess.
I don't know. I know I'm barely a millennial.
Right. And you're 40 almost.
Yeah.
So the Gen Z would be the 90s on?
Maybe.
The mid-90s
on, probably. I know my daughter is.
Yeah, I'm going to look here. They break it all down now. Let's see.
It's basically just the youngest of the young.
USA Today cites the 1997 to 2012
97.
birth era.
All right. 97 to 12 is what we have here. So you're talking about 25 years old or younger is what we're talking about for Gen Z.
They describe them as young and mobile.
And they are.
Is your daughter both?
Well, she's young.
Well, I mean, she's still living at home.
Well, geez, I had a moment too at the BBQ Festival. It was me and my son was gone touring colleges with my wife, so I took my daughter and her friend, both age 14, to the BBQ Festival. That's a street festival where we eat barbecue. I guess it's pretty much in the name.
Yep.
But they have all these little tents, and vendors where you can shop for food and clothing and jewelry and just all sorts of things. I got cornhole bags.
Did you?
Okay.
Yeah, I did. Got some cornhole bags there. It's very nice.
What logo?
Tar Heels. I got a Tar Heel logo, and I love it. I mean, it was really great. I walked by, and the guy said, "Hey, radio man, why don't you buy something?" The other guy said, "That's the cheap one. He ain't gonna buy anything." I said, "Yes, I will." I said, "Yes, I will too."
Easiest sell in the business.
Wow.
I know.
You got your number, Slim.
Yeah. So many times, though, my daughter and her friend would see jewelry, trinkets, whatever, and say, "Can we look at this?" And they had their own money to spend. So I said, "Go ahead and look." And then I stood off to the side, out of the way, and just sort of kept an eye on them so that nobody would, they wouldn't somehow get lost in the crowd or whatever. And so at one point, I was standing under a tree, and they were inside a little booth looking at jewelry or clothing. And a guy came by and said, "You're Chris Kelly, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "What are you doing right now?" He says, "What are you doing standing under this tree?" I said, "I'm watching those girls." Pointed at him. He just slinked on.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, you are weird.
They said you were weird, but I had no idea. Oh, yeah. I'm as weird as they say. I'll tell you a scary story about young people.
Got my eye on a pair of 14-year-olds. Oh, my God. Are there still snipers on the roofs of the buildings?
No, they took those down this year.
Oh, really?
They didn't have pigtails or snipers. That's the two things that were missing from this year's barbecue festival. You know why they didn't have pigtails? My wife's cousin runs it. I mean, the barbecue festival is huge here. And they didn't have their little curly fries. And I just noticed they didn't have them. And it's because the barbecue maker said they had to hire so many extra people to get the pigtails just right and make them. It was so labor intensive. That's the one thing that holds them up. So
I believe it.
No pigtails this year. Didn't affect me at all though. Ran right through. And other places had fries, so you could get them, but no pigtails. Anyhow, what was I saying? Oh yeah, something scary.
Gen Z. Oh, okay.
No, that's just first. This triggered my mind when I was watching the 214.
Okay.
Got my eye on a couple of teenagers here. I read this yesterday. This is serious. This guy's daughter, who is in her early 20s, I think she was 20 or 21, works at a restaurant and stays at, and they close at 11 and she gets home after midnight. So the guy, and I just read this, he put it up online to warn people. The next morning after his daughter got home, he saw a black twist tie on the handle of her car on the back seat, the rear door of the car. And he thought, well, that's weird. And then he just took scissors and cut it off. Okay. So the next day, the girl goes to work again. She lives at home. Girl goes to work, gets home after midnight. Dad gets up next morning, going out to work himself, spots the twist tie, a zip tie. It's a black zip tie. It's on there again. Okay.
Very different.
What did I say? Twist tie? Zip tie.
Loaf of bread.
No, not a loaf of bread. This is a zip tie.
Kidnap.
Okay. So it's around the back door handle. So he cuts it off again. Goes to work. Doesn't think too much about it. Third day in a row, he gets up, sees his daughter's car. So that afternoon, the daughter doesn't have to work. So he sees her for the first time in 3 days. And he says, "What's with the black zip ties on the back of your car?" She goes, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "The past 3 mornings, I've seen a black zip tie on the back door handle of your car." She goes, "I don't know what you're talking about." Well, they did some investigating on this. sex traffickers, and I know about this because I saw the movie Taken. Sex traffickers, okay, identify young women who are often alone late at night and vulnerable and mark their vehicles. And so the people they're working with spot it, see it, and they know, okay, she's one to look for, to traffic. And so that the zip tie would be on the car, and you see, okay, she's going to be alone later tonight.
It smells like an urban legend.
And
Yeah, I've seen that passed around on
Have you?
social media. Not saying it's not true. But
well,
I've
he
seen that.
posted it on TikTok,
Yeah.
and like 26 million people saw it and said, yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. Well, it sure, because I've seen the movie Taken, it worried me a little.
Isn't that like 25 years old?
Yeah, but still,
And
you have to look for the signs. Look for, if you see a black zip tie on somebody's car, tell them. Say, look.
Well, they missed her 3 times.
Well, I know that's the only thing I thought is like, how many times are you going to have?
How many times do I have to mark this girl's car? I mean, are there staffing shortages in the sex trafficking world too?
Guys,
I know we couldn't make French fries into the shape of pigtails at your festival.
Nobody works anymore.
Come on.
I'm not
There used to be a work ethic in this industry. You put the zip tie on there, she's gone the next night.
Look,
Gave you 72 hours here.
I'm not trying to complain, but I'm wasting zip ties here.
Thank you.
I could use those for other things.
Have a thriving kidnapping business on the side. The cartels, they pay good money for these zip ties, but I'm wasting them here. Tagging Kias and Hyundais.
Point is, be really careful.